Okay, so this is a big problem. It's going to take some time. I recommend you get a full sheet of paper, maybe two, just to have on hand. And not that it's going to take 2 pages, but you might want it like a scrap piece of paper. Okay, so first I'm going to make the system that I have into a matrix equation. So 5, negative 4, negative 1, 15, negative 11, negative 3, 56, negative 41, negative 11 times x, y, z equals the constant matrix 35, negative 26, and negative 7. Okay, in order to use the inverse, we have to find the inverse. So we're finding the inverse of the coefficient matrix. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 5, 15, 56, negative 4, negative 11, negative 41, negative 1, negative 3, negative 11. Remember I told you there's a lot of copy work? Okay. So 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1. The goal is to get the left-hand side to be the identity, then the right-hand side will be the inverse. Okay, there are lots of ways to do this problem, I'm sure. I'm going to just do it the way the book did it because then if you need to reference it, if you want to see it explained like another way, at least the numbers are the same. So I'm going to multiply the top row by 1/5 to get that row 1, column 1 to be a 1. Okay, so I'm going to copy down the rows that I'm not changing. Okay, and then the row that I am changing, I'm going to get 1, 3. Now I'm going to get 56 over 5. Now that's a fraction, but we're going to have to work with it. So 1/5, 0, 0. Okay. Now my goal is to get zeros in the first column, so under the 1. Okay, so like right here and right there, I want to get zeros. So I'm going to do them one at a time. I'm going to multiply the top row by 4 and add it to the bottom row. Now in previous videos, I went ahead and wrote that out to the side for you. But here I'm going to try to do it a little quicker. We'll see if we like this. Okay, the top row is going to stay the same. The bottom row is going to stay the same. So it's the middle row that's going to be changing. So if you want to multiply it and add, I'll just write it over here. I have lots of room. What's 4 times 56 fifths? I don't know, I want a calculator. I think it's 224. 224 over 5. So that came from 4 times 56 over 5. I think it's good I'm writing it out for you so you can see it. Then I'm getting 4/5 and then 0, 0. Okay? And then I want to add that to this row. Negative 4, negative 11, negative 41. Okay, I'm going to have to make that into fifths, right? Negative 41 over 1 times 5 over 5. I have to get a common denominator. I'm kind of looking ahead here. So what is that? Negative 205? You know, and this is the actual math. They don't show this in the book, but anyway. Okay, then 4/5 and 0 and 1 and 0. Okay, so we're going to add these together and we're going to get 0, 1, let's see, what is that going to be? 19, whoops, so sorry about that. I don't know why it does that sometimes. 19, this is a 1. 19 fifths, 4/5, 1, and 0. That's going to go right here. 0, 1, 19 fifths, 4/5, and 1, 0. Okay, so remember to work all the way across. Just be careful and double check. So Yeah, okay. Now we're going to take the top row and just add it to the bottom row, and we'll be replacing the bottom row. So I'm going to keep the top two rows that I have, 1, 3, 56 over 5. Eventually we'll get rid of that fraction, 1/5, 0, 0. And then the middle row, 0, 1, 19/5, another little fraction there, 4/5, 1, 0. Okay, and now we're going to add just this bottom row, or the top row to the bottom row, and we're going to put it in the bottom row. Now, you could write that out. The first two aren't too bad. So 1 and -1, that's 0. That's what we were going for. 3 and -3, that's 0. Nice. Okay, now what's 56? This is where I'm saying you might want some scrap paper. 56/5 plus -11. Well, I've got to get a common denominator. So now I'm going to have 56/5 plus -55/5, which is 1/5. And for my problem here, it's not the worst fraction. Okay, now I'm adding the 1/5 and the 0. That's going to be 1/5. I'm adding the 0 and the 0. And I'm adding the 0 and the 1. Okay? All right. So far, so good. Okay, so we wanted a 1, 0, 0, and we got that. And we also have a 1 and a 0, but we would really like this to be a 0. So it's very convenient that that is a 1, because now we can multiply by -3 and add up to that row. Now, my little drawing there is kind of in the way. That's okay. So my top row is 1, 3, darn it, I like to color coordinate these. 1, 3, 56 over 5, 1/5, 0, 0. And then I'm going to be adding this row multiplied by -3. So -3 times 0 is 0. See, you didn't change your 0. That's really good. And -3 times 1 is -3. Of course, this is a temporary change anyway. What's -3 times 19? I think it's -57. And then over 5. Then what's -3 times 4/5? That's going to be -12/5. So you do the fraction work on your own piece of paper or something. I just wish it wouldn't do that. All right. And then I get a -3 because it's -3 times that 1. That's where we're at. -3 times 0 is going to be 0. Okay. So when I add these together, I'm going to get 1, 0, -1/5, and then I'm going to get -11/5, -3, and 0. Now, where is that row going to go? Well, I was trying to get a 0 up in the top row, so it's going to go up there. Okay? All right, so let's copy down what stays the same. 0, 1, 19/5, 4/5, 1, 0. So the middle row is staying the same. The bottom row is going to stay the same. But now the top row is going to be what I did over there on the side. 1, 0, -1/5, -11/5, -3, and 0. Okay. So we're getting there. So we have the first two rows or columns like we want. That column's good, that column's good. So now I want to try to get a 0 right there for that -1/5. But look, if I just add those two equations, or two rows, I'll get the 1/5 and the -1/5, and that'll be a 0. Okay, so I'm going to take the top row just as is. 1, 0, -1/5. Well, you know what? Why should I recopy that? I've got it written already over here. So I'm going to add the bottom row. This one right here. 0, 0, 1/5, 1/5, 0, 1. Okay, so this is going to be my new row 1. We're going to put this, whatever we get, we're going to put it right there. 1 and 0, 1, 0 and 0, 0. Negative 1/5 and 1/5, 0. Now, negative 11/5 and 1/5. Negative 11/5 plus 1/5. That's negative 10/5, which is negative 2. Negative 3 and 0, and 0 and 1. Okay, so we're getting there. We're almost done. All right, we're going to copy down the rows that we didn't change. 0, 1, 19/5, 4/5, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1/5, 1/5, 0, 1. And now my new top row, it's going to be 1, 0, 0, negative 2, negative 3, 1. Okay, so we just have one more thing to do. See that 19/5? That needs to be a 0. So we need to get that taken care of. How are we going to do that? Well, we could multiply the bottom row. Actually, there's two more things we have to do. We could multiply by negative 19, and that would take care of it, right? And then I'm going to add it to the middle row. Okay, so my middle row right now is 0, 1, 19/5, 4/5, 1, 0. And now that temporary multiplication is going to be 0, 0, negative 19/5, negative 19/5, 0, and negative 19. And then we're going to add those together. Okay, so we get 0, we get 1, we get 19/5. Oh, no we don't, we get 0, sorry, I forgot to add. So I'm adding these, so a positive 19/5 and a negative 19/5. Okay, now what's 4/5 minus 19/5? Well, that's negative 15 over 5, which is going to be a negative 3. And then I'm going to have a 0 and a 1, and a negative 19 and a 0. Okay, where does this row go? It's going in the middle. Okay, so now I got to copy down what I'm keeping. See what I mean about needing a whole piece of paper? And I probably could have written smaller, but I wanted you to be able to read it. Okay, so my middle row is now going to be 0, 1, 0. Great, because that's what I want it to be. Negative 3, 1, negative 19. Let me put a bracket there. Okay, so we're almost done. Top two rows looking good. The bottom row has that 1/5 though, and I need this to be just a 1. So I'm just going to multiply by 5. And it's not going to be too hard to do. Oh, let me get my color. 1, 0, 0. Negative 2, negative 3, 1. 0, 1, 0. Negative 3, 1, negative 19. And now my new bottom row is going to be 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 5. Okay, this is the inverse. Okay, so back up top when we had AX equals B, now we're going to multiply by the inverse on both sides. So we're going to get X equals, and it's going to be the inverse, which we just figured out, negative 2, negative 3, 1, negative 3, 1, negative 19, 1, 0, 5. And then we have to multiply it times the constant matrix. Oh, what was that? It was 35, 26, I'm cheating, negative 26, and negative 7. So I'd already written it on the piece of paper. So, okay, so I didn't have to scroll back up. All right, so now we just have to do that matrix multiplication, and we're done. So I'm going to take this row times this column. And that's going to be negative 2 times 35 minus 3 times negative 26 plus 1 times negative 7. Then I'm going to take this row times this column. Negative 3 times 35, let's see, plus 1 times negative 26 minus 19 times negative 7. And then the last one is going to be this row times this column, which is going to be 1 times 35 plus 0 times negative 26, that's just going to be 0, plus 5 times negative 7. Okay. Now, I did these calculations already, but I'm going to go ahead and just do them again. But we should get a 3 by 1 matrix. So I've got negative 70, right? That's 2 times 35, minus 3 times negative 26, because I'm too lazy to do that, minus 7. So I get 1. Great. Now I'm going to do the orange part. Okay, so let's just put it all in the calculator. Negative 3 times 35 plus 1 times negative 26 minus 19 times negative 7. Oh my gosh. And I got 2. All right. Then what's happening on the bottom? Well, you have a 35, a 0, and a negative 35. So that's just going to add up to 0. Okay. So the ordered triple for this system of equations is 1, 2, 0. Now, I would not give you a problem like this on your exam. They just take too long to do. If I wanted a 3 by 3, then I probably would give you the inverse. Or if I expected you to find the inverse and solve it this way, I would do a 2 by 2. Okay? So hopefully that makes you feel better.